Two moms, two marketers, two women new to the financial industry. They have a lot of questions. That's why they're bringing in financial experts to educate all of us here on A Penny or Two for Your Thoughts.
What do I do?
Oh, yeah, you intro.
I intro. Okay.
Hi, everybody.
Hi, everybody.
Everyone, all of our listeners, global and domestic. It's Penny or Two for Your Thoughts.
That's
I'm
our
Liz.
intro.
You're Chantel.
That's our intro this time.
Okay.
Did you get that?
Yeah, did you catch all that? Were we rolling?
Oh, you know we were rolling.
Oh,
We've been rolling
yeah.
for 4 minutes.
We're rolling like Limp Bizkit.
Welcome to the next episode. Oh, this is awesome. This is so good. That was great. Good job.
Really? I think everybody just stopped listening.
Well, let me tell you a little story.
Oh, I can't wait.
Okay, so first I need to set this up because today we have our special guest that we won't introduce yet, but talking all things insurance and all the things.
Mhm.
Okay. So I think this will connect to life insurance when we get to that part of it. Okay. So
Okay,
just
this-
keep that in your mind.
Is this
okay.
going to go morbid?
Nope,
Okay.
not yet. Okay. So I haven't told you this story yet because it is something that I wanted to see your reaction.
And also get it on film. Got it.
and on film and record it. Okay. So a couple weeks ago, I had to take my son. He worked at Berkshire at the event that was here in Omaha, right?
Yep.
And I had told you, yeah, he has to get there like at 5. So we were up early, right? So my alarm goes off at 4:30, Saturday morning. And I hear what I thought was a meow. Remember, I don't have a cat.
I know.
In my house. But Jace has been putting weird alarms on his phone. So I was like, okay, whatever. I'm getting up, whatever. And go downstairs. And there's a cat sitting on my kitchen table. Black cat sitting on my kitchen table.
No.
So as you can probably imagine, I lose my ever-loving mind. I'm like, for the young listeners,
That was
I won't
very
repeat.
censored. That was
won't
very
repeat what I
censored.
said. So the cat gets scared because I'm screaming, and Macy, our dog, little Shih Tzu, is still sleeping because she's deaf. So it's fine. So the cat runs. I don't know where the cat goes. I open the front door, and here comes Cat. Cat goes out the door. So I am screaming at my husband to come downstairs. So let's go back a few hours. Okay. Said
A few hours
husband.
would be like 2 a.m.
Okay, let's go 4 hours.
Oh, okay.
Said husband was outside with his friend having a little bonfire and maybe some adult beverages. Okay. Said husband closes the garage door, obviously locking the cat in the garage. Okay. All right. That happens, I guess. I don't know. So I'm walking now. We're back at 4:00 in the morning, and I'm like, why does our house smell like bonfire so badly? He left the door to our house open. So Cat comes in the house and has been there for 4 hours, walking around the house, all the things. Now, my husband is also one that's, have you locked the door? Did you shut the garage? Did you put the board in the door? Like no, you didn't do any of that. And I have a cat now in my house. So now
I'm seeing the connection to life insurance.
yeah, life insurance, because I may have said I'm going to murder you like 15 times. So now we fast forward to last night. So last night I wake up at 3:30 and think I hear my dog walking around, and I look up and I swear to you, the cat's in our hallway. And I'm freaking out. I'm like, oh my God, this cat is back in our house. No, it was a bag that I left. I had PTSD from this cat. I can't.
A black cat,
Even.
nonetheless. Like that's.
Oh my God. Anyway,
And here, some owner is probably on like Lost Pets of Omaha.
probably
Where's Fluffy?
just living her best life on my
Yeah.
kitchen table.
Right. Teasing Macy is probably sitting there like, you can't see me, dog. You deaf. You blind. You have no teeth.
God. That is true. That is true. Okay.
Oh, poor Macy.
Okay. Well, I'll wrap that story up here, and we can jump into all the good things.
So you could learn about life insurance probably in this episode. Maybe. I'm not sure.
Oh, it's going to be a good
It's
one.
going to be a good one.
Oh, yeah. Here we go.
So our guest today has been with Centris almost 10 years. It's coming up. I think June is what she told me. June is her 10-year anniversary. Oh, that's so awesome. I've heard she loves to cook and make some really good popcorn. Like she's commented on how good this popcorn is. Kind of wishing I had some of that today, especially for that story. I could have just sat here and just ate my little popcorn. So I want you listeners to kick back, listen, and enjoy. I've heard others in the office refer to her as Fergie Ferg.
Ooh,
Fergie Ferg. Please welcome to the show Centris's very own records manager, Danielle Ferguson.
Woo, woo.
Hi. I don't know where you got the cooking part from.
I thought you liked to cook. I thought you said you liked to cook.
Toast, maybe some eggs and bacon, but I do not cook. But the popcorn is true facts.
Oh.
I have mastered popcorn on the stove.
Really?
All the things.
Oh,
yeah,
That's where I
wow.
got it. It was just
Yeah.
like, she's just really good cook. She cooks popcorn.
Let's
Nope.
do it.
I could eat popcorn
Toast.
at every
But
meal,
toast
quite
is
honestly.
good.
Yes.
Eggs are good. Bacon,
Yeah.
bacon, yum.
That's
Eggs,
all you
yum.
get.
Toast,
Toast,
yum.
Yum.
Yeah.
Got it.
So that's a meal.
We're learning so many things about you because you came to us probably a month or probably more than that, said, "Hey, I've got an idea for the podcast. So cool. We love when people do that." But then you changed everything up and all of a sudden you tell us you have your insurance license and you're some fancy schmancy thing going on
No.
here. I mean, more so than we already knew. So
She's a bigger deal than the big deal we
yes,
thought she was.
Yes. So how did this all tell us your background? How did that all come about?
Which this actually is super nice that this is happening right now because I have to renew my license in August. So this just is a starter to it. You have to take so many educational hours when you renew your license, take a test and get certified every 2 years. So, but no, I worked at State Farm as an agent and got my license for property casualty, life, health, and annuities. And I keep renewing it every year. It was hard to get. Those tests are extremely
Yes.
hard. And so I don't want to let it go. And it's like $100 every 2 years. I'm like, I'm just going to do it.
Yes.
So this was really awesome that I'm able to use that knowledge and pass it on. And I think it's really great that Centris is not just focused on everything Centris related,
Mhm.
that they really are truly about our members' financial well-being. And this is just part of it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we're going to
No.
dig in today.
But now I have to do
Yes.
like full disclosure. I have to be kind of the compliance.
yes. Yeah, here.
police
No,
for-
our compliance team will
Yes.
be so proud of
I know
you.
they're going to be, I'm going to get brownie points with them.
I know.
Listeners, Centris does not sell the products that we're discussing today on the podcast. This podcast is truly just for educational purposes only, or to find good material to make fun of Chantel and I for.
More so that.
And if you would like to, listeners, just send Chantel random meows.
Yeah.
You know how many of those I'm
Yeah.
getting from my family?
You did not keep the cat. You
No.
booted the cat out.
She is not a cat
I am
person.
not a cat
No.
person. No, I mean, cute, go now. What's anyway? All right.
Well, yeah, let's dip in.
You ready to ready to dive in?
Yeah, there's a couple of different insurance products out there. There's disability, health, auto, of course, home. There's also pet insurance now.
Oh.
Yeah.
You could have gotten the cat. You could have covered the cat.
Yeah.
See how this all just ties together.
Oh my God.
Yes.
Cam. That is money. Best episode.
Yeah. I didn't
ever.
know we could have fun sounds.
I mean, Cam's been known to change your voices here and there, but
Can't even believe that just happened.
I
That
can.
literally gave me this weird feeling. Because that is exactly.
I thought she was going to jump off her chair.
That was great.
What we should have done, we should have talked or made eye contact, be like, don't react, and like have her just be the one that reacts and be like, what's wrong?
Is there a problem?
Is there a problem?
It's in my head.
It's in her head. All right. I'm
Okay.
gonna-
It just gives me the heebie-jeebies. Wow. Oh my God.
All right, I'll
just-
stop for a little bit.
we'll just start purring.
I'm so
All right.
sorry. This,
No, that's okay.
This is
This-
going to be your
Yes,
This is your show.
insurance isn't the most exciting thing to talk about.
Oh
but
yeah.
it's
So here we go.
important.
Here
So I
we
like
go.
that.
All
this
right.
is a fun.
We can interject some
Yes,
fun,
all right.
yes.
All
So
right.
you
I'm going to steer.
Yes.
I'm going to steer it
Do
this way. Let's start with auto insurance. since most of our listeners own at least one car, perhaps maybe two, but what are the limits of liability and what does that mean?
Yes, this is actually really good for our listeners to know. Limits of liability is how much you're covered for. So you'll hear your insurance agent give you a couple of numbers, 3, 25, 50, 25, and I'll explain what those limits are. For the Nebraska minimum limit, it is 25, 25 or 25, 50, 25, but it's really up to each state. This is the minimum requirement. So that first 25 number is 25,000 per bodily injury. The second set of numbers is 50,000, which is per bodily injury for 2 or more people, but that's the max. That last set of number is 25,000 for the damage of the vehicle or property. Now, the reason why these limits are so important to understand is that's what you're covered for. So these days, that last number, 25,000, most vehicles are over the amount of 25,000.
Right.
You hit an F-150,
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
and you total it out, you're probably going to be liable for the amount that the insurance company doesn't cover. Or let's say you hit multiple cars, there's multiple people injured. For that second set of number, it's bodily injury is up to that 50,000. Now, not everyone needs to have over coverage. My coverage is 100, 300, 100. That's a lot. I've been driving for many years. Do I need that amount of coverage? Probably not. The more coverage you have, the more expensive it is. For a young adult driving, more coverage is probably smarter. For someone who's been driving multiple years, you can have that lesser coverage. Also, if you're a work from home person and maybe you go and get groceries once a week, your risk is not that high. So you could have those lower limits. But let's say you work downtown, but you live out west, 7:30 in the morning, you're in that traffic for 45 minutes around a bunch of people on Dodge. Maybe because you're at a higher risk, you need higher limits of liability.
Wow. So I haven't even really thought about that.
No, I didn't either. That's a good way to think about that.
Yeah.
Depending on how much you drive and your age, how much risk you really are on the
Yes.
road. So because I have a lead foot, I probably should have higher. Perhaps.
Yeah. And it is. People think of insurance as something I pay for. There's nothing, I don't get to hold anything. There's nothing I put on my shelf or my purse. It's not a thing. It's just in case of something happening. So some people, it sucks, right? You're paying for something like health insurance. I pay for health insurance. I don't use it every day. I don't use it every month. Why am I paying for it? Or mortgage or car insurance. I have to get it because I have a loan on it. But these limits of liability and the coverage that you have are very important, not just to understand it as something I pay into.
Right.
If something happens and you don't have the proper coverage, you could be liable to be sued for the additional amount that you caused for that damage.
And I think, unfortunately, in the time we're at right now, especially in the last few weeks, our area was hit incredibly hard with tornadoes. And we're going to talk about homeowners insurance, but cars, you saw cars absolutely decimated from this. And what does, that look like? And just being prepared for those situations that you can't prepare for, right? That's what insurance is at the end of the day.
Definitely.
Right? All right. So another asset we have to protect is our home. So what about homeowners insurance?
Yes, homeowners insurance typically covers several areas. One being the dwelling, the main structure of the home. And then there's also other structural coverage, and that includes anything that's not attached to the home. So like your fence, detached garages or sheds. Then you have your personal property. And when you think personal property, don't just think of the expensive things like your TVs, your jewelry. You want to include all your personal properties like silverware, bath mats, clothing, things like that. It's a combined total. Also, liability coverage. This protects you financially if you're found legally responsible for injuries to someone else or damage that's caused by negligence. This could include any lawyer expense that you have to pay, or let's say because of negligence and you were found guilty, that person has to be off of work for 2 or 3 weeks. This insurance could cover their lost wages. There's also ALE, additional living expense coverage, which I think that some of our members might have used recently with the tornadoes. So if there was a covered loss and you are not able to live in your home, this coverage helps you with renting or getting a hotel, those type of expenses. There's also medical payments. So if someone was injured on your property, your fault or not, that would cover those injuries. We also have extended replacement costs, which I've seen a lot on insurance policies. And what that is you're covered up to a certain amount. While we cannot predict how much the construction cost is going to increase, especially with the materials increasing in the last few years. So this is just additional coverage to help with that. Depending on how much your house is worth, I've seen like 15 or 20,000 just to give that a little cushion.
Okay. Okay.
We also have water damage coverage, and this is extremely important to understand what type of coverage you have on your home. Most insurance covers like leaky faucets, plumbing, things like that. They don't necessarily cover if there is sewer backup from the drain. So you want to make sure that you're covered for that, and if not, you want to get extended coverage.
Because that could be
that
real
could cause a
bad.
lot
That
of
could be
damage.
messy.
Yes.
Yeah, that could be a big mess.
Yeah, it's important to note to homeowners that there are particular limits. There's also deductibles, and to review your policy carefully and to understand what that looks like.
Yeah.
So, homeowners insurance covers quite a bit. Are there things that it doesn't cover and that you might want to get additional coverage for?
Yes, it's generally not advisable to leave it solely up to your insurance provider to determine what coverage is needed. While insurance providers can offer guidance or recommendations, it's up to you to give your big picture of what, like if you have a pool and things like that, different coverages are needed. So adding coverages is an endorsement or rider. And I know a lot of times when you buy a car or you get homeowners insurance, you feel like your insurance agent is trying to sell you a product. Sell. Oh, they just want to sell me this extra thing because it's more money in their pocket. No, these extra things could benefit you. Just in your different scenarios, wherever you're in your life at that time. So, for example, flood endorsements, most policies don't cover flood. I know we don't have a lot of earthquakes in Nebraska, but a lot of home policies do not cover earthquake coverage. So, you could get that endorsement. There's water backup coverage. This endorsement does cover that sewer and drain in your home. That's a big one to have. And then also identity theft. If your identity was stolen, you can actually get a rider or an endorsement on your homeowner's policy to help protect if in that case that happens and it causes you financial difficulties.
Oh, that's interesting.
Also, home business endorsement. If you're running or operating a business in your home, you might not be covered. If someone is hurt because of your business, things like that, it's very important to let your insurance agent know that you're owning or operating a business in your home because there's different coverages that you need when you're doing that.
It's great information to have.
Yeah.
I wanted to go back to something you said earlier. Making sure you're not covering just your TVs and jewelry and all the things. How do you even begin to track? I've been thinking about this and all of these individuals who were impacted and they lost everything. And, you could have a t-shirt, that's your favorite t-shirt that's been blown away, but what does that look like or how do you track all those things?
What's important is, so insurance companies are not in the business to just write a check, right? So those big item purchases, if I lose everything in a fire and I say, oh, I have like 5 75-inch flat screen TVs and all my necklaces come from Tiffany's.
Yeah.
You have to have some kind of documentation. It's best to have something in a lockbox, a fireproof lockbox that has any certificates for jewelry or any items that, like maybe you have an antique item that you've gotten it appraised, things like that. It's important to hold those receipts.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Someone was mentioning it's always a good idea to take pictures of your rooms.
Oh,
Mhm.
yeah.
You know, so like
Mhm.
take those now, put those in a lockbox so you can
Mhm.
kind of look and say, okay, this is all the stuff that I had in this room. So, you know, to your point, I need sheets, I
Yeah.
need bath
Mhm.
curtains or whatever, all of those things. So,
Yeah, and I was thinking too, both of you are married, and so
For now.
yeah,
I mean,
yeah, it could be
she-
questionable with
with
this
a cat in the
cat.
house.
Mhm.
With your rings, do you guys have separate policies for your rings?
Yes. Yes.
Yep.
It's very important to do that because your homeowner's insurance, you don't want to, it's more risk on your ring, right? To lose a diamond or the wear and tear or lose the ring in total. Your homeowner's insurance, you don't want to have multiple.
Right.
And that's why that's so important to have a separate policy because you're more risk, you wear it every day, that you're going to have maybe use that policy.
Right.
Right.
Very
Mhm.
good. Very good.
So
So,
I
we-
also like too, you know, it talked about covering pools. You know, we both have pools in our backyard. They're not necessarily in ground or
they're,
I don't know if they'd be considered above ground either, but they're inflatable.
We got to think about that.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to
Yes.
get that covered.
Well, and
I don't want anybody's ankles to drown.
right. And it's important because my situation is different from yours, which is different
Mhm.
from yours.
Yeah.
So it's not a one all fit all.
Right.
So it's important to give that information to your insurance agent and let them know big picture of all the things so they can make sure that
Right.
you're covered.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Great.
So for our listeners that maybe don't necessarily own their own home, but they do rent, what insurance should they have to protect themselves as a renter?
Yes, there is renter's insurance, which is some fine not important. However, it's very important because if your place gets broken into and everything's stolen, you're going to need something to replace your things. Like I said, it's not just about the big items, it's also your silverware, your cups, your things like that, your personal belongings. So, yes, definitely look into renter's insurance. I also had a scenario that two friends were living together. One friend owned the home, has homeowners insurance. The other friend was renting a room out of that home with the friend. That person needs renter's insurance. The home will be covered under the homeowner's insurance, their personal belongings. However, if you're renting, you need your separate coverage to also include your
Yeah.
personal properties.
It's a great point.
That is a good point.
Things to think about. All right. Well, we're on to
That's
life.
something you can give to Chad.
Oh, yeah. If he
When-
needs to rent,
if he
when
needs
I
to
can
rent.
Yes.
Yeah. Because I'll let the cat come back in the
Yeah.
house and he
You'll let the cat in and he can,
Yes.
you'll just rent
Take
the
a hike.
garage. He can rent the garage.
Life insurance.
Yes.
Oh, here we
Tell me
go.
all about it.
Yes. I
Turn
love
up her
life
headphones so she
insurance.
can
Yeah.
really hear this one.
I really want to hear this one.
I was waiting for
That was waiting for the
Yeah,
cat.
yeah.
Yep, there it is.
That was aggressive. Oh, no. Oh my God. Stop it. Shifting back and forth.
Where'd Chantel go? Oh, she's in the corner. She's
Under
fine.
the table.
Danielle and I will just keep going. It's good. It's good.
Okay, so we've talked about insuring our assets, but what about insuring our life and the details that go into life insurance?
Yep. Life insurance is not an easy topic to talk about. No one wants to discuss the what if my loved one has passed away, but it's more than just that. It's so much more that you provide benefits to your loved ones if you should pass away. But one aspect of a policy is like a college savings account. If you have a whole life policy, that policy can increase the cash value and it can be accessed through the policy with loans or withdrawals. So when you think about a child and giving them a life policy, you're thinking, why would I get a child a life policy? That doesn't make sense. They're healthy, they're fine, they're active. This can house for maybe in the future for their college. So it's not just a policy if something should happen. But there's also another great benefit to life insurance. There's your term life, which is 10 or 20 years, and then you have a whole life policy, which is your whole life. Your term policy is going to be a lot cheaper and you're going to get a lot more coverage for your buck, but you're going to have to renew every time it expires. So let's say I have a 20-year term I get it at 20 years old. I'm healthy. I'm fit. I get premium. It's probably like $19 a month. I'm covered for 20 years. So within that 15 years, something happens to me health wise. I develop some cancer or things like that. At that 20-year mark, I might not be eligible for insurance anymore. And if I am eligible for life insurance, it might be very costly. Your whole life policy is a better option. However, it's more expensive because of that option. And you're going to get less for the amount of money. But like I said, you can use it for cash value as well. Whole life policy, I get it at 9 years old, and something happens to me in my 30 years, I develop cancer, something like that, you're still covered. It's for your whole life. So it just depends on where you're at in your stage of life. Like I have a term policy. It's just me, myself, and I, no kids. And they're like, why do you have life insurance? Well, not only to cover the funeral costs, which can be up to $10,000 to $15,000, but also how great of that to leave that benefit to my nieces.
Right.
Like here's an additional, and money is not going to take that pain away, but it's going to ease it a little bit. And I sleep better at night knowing that I can give that to them.
Yeah.
But life insurance is definitely important. And like I said before, you don't have it in your hands. So it seems like, why would I pay for something if I don't use it every day or if I don't use it every month? But in the long run, it's so beneficial, and it's just a peace of mind when you are covered.
That's great.
That is really good. I know we don't have any insurance at Centris, but where does someone even begin when they're looking at the different types of insurance, and what should they get covered?
Yeah, I was thinking about that last night about I get often a question of, can I shop around? Yes, definitely shop around at different companies. There's all sorts of companies out there. Go to an agent, or, a lot of companies are not local. It just depends. For myself, I like to walk into a place, talk to an agent. For my parents, they like to just call on the phone, which you would think that would be opposite, right?
Yeah.
But yes, definitely shop around. Also know for like car insurance, it's when you have a policy, you're paying $100 a month and you go somewhere else and they're like, oh, it's $50 a month. Check to make sure it's apples to apples. Did they take something out so it would be cheaper, right? You want to make sure that the coverage is still the same and that you are covered. So do your due diligence, look at your policy, understand it. And also the greatest thing in the world, Google. Just if you see something on your policy, you don't know what it is, Google it.
Yeah.
Or talk to your agent and ask those additional questions.
I think that's so important, because you get your information from your insurance and you put it in a drawer. It's done. It's paid for. But it is really reviewing it. And if you have the questions, ask the questions, because you need to make sure you know what you're paying for and what you're getting. So when you do get into the situation, that you're not surprised, because that's not the time that you want to be surprised.
No, and that's so sad. Oftentimes when a friend contacts me about their insurance just to go over it, and I tell them, yeah, you're not covered. Like if something should happen, that is such the worst thing you can say is, unfortunately, you're not covered.
Right.
So you want to make sure you're doing your due diligence. Yeah. The agent, like I said, we do renew our license. We do our continuous education, but we can't know all about you. You have to provide that information to us so we can recommend those extra products.
Yeah, that's great information.
And you should also probably talk to your agent, depending on your life situation. Myself, I'll talk to my agent maybe once every 2 years. There's nothing changing in my life. I don't have any prediction that it's going to change. But if you are married, you're going to have kids, you're going to put in that pool, you might want to talk to your agent more frequently, maybe once a year. Has there been any changes in the policy? Has my home increased in value? Has it matched the value or what's covered in my policy? Things like that.
Great information.
That's really good.
Absolutely.
I know it's making me think about all my insurance.
Oh, I know.
I know.
I'm
I was
ready to go home.
Yeah, I was curious when you guys first got this information, if anything like hit you, like, oh, I didn't know that, or am I covered? Like, did this resonate for you to go and check your policies?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is like I said, it's that thing that's always there, but in the
Mhm.
back of my mind, and it needs to take some higher attention,
Mhm.
I think, because um again, situations that just happen in our own community that really start making you think. You need to be prepared.
Especially with and guys have younger kids, but as they get older, having those understanding of like the car limits of liability and making
Yeah.
sure they're covered, that's really important. But also life insurance across the board.
Yeah.
That
Yes.
that was a big eye opener for me. I have
Yeah.
a 4-year-old, and she doesn't have whole life
Right.
insurance. I never thought to do that for her, but after
Yes.
hearing you talk, it's like,
Yeah.
I probably do need to get that. I mean,
Yep.
knock
Yeah.
on wood, nothing happens, but
Right. But the
if it does,
benefit,
it's
yeah.
there.
Yeah.
And that college savings could
Mhm.
be beneficial for when they get older.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
especially at the rate we're going with
Yes.
how much things are costing.
Well, there's another area we should think about here is saving for when your child turns 16 and starts driving. Because now I have 2 driving, and that was sticker shock seeing
Yes.
that fee for insurance.
Well, yeah, and it does. It's not if we're both 40-year-old females and we live in the same area, it doesn't mean our insurance is going to be the same because your car is different from my
Right.
car. It has so many factors to determine what those rates are. The zip code determines those rates. If I live out west and there's a lot of hail damage constantly, my rates are going to be a little higher than somewhere that doesn't get a lot of hail damage. Or the safety ratings of a vehicle can affect how much your insurance costs. Your age, a younger adult, it's going to be a lot of money.
Yes.
Because it's
Yes.
higher risk.
Yep.
The older you get, the less, because you've driven, you understand it, you're more cautious.
Yeah, Liz.
Well,
You're more cautious.
more cautious. Are you
mean,
a
I'm-
speeder?
I am. I'm 42. I'm experienced. I know how to handle the road. I may just like speed. I'm not that bad. I go 5 to 7 over.
That's right.
Yeah.
It's not like I'm going 20 over.
No.
Lies.
No. My husband
Yeah.
will tell you on like 360. He's like, he always texts me if he
Oh my
does see me go
gosh.
faster. I usually get a text. So, did you really need to go 70 on the way into work today?
Sure did.
Kinda. Yeah, maybe. Didn't realize it got up that high.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I do want to put out there too the importance of when you buy a new vehicle to get an estimate on your insurance before you buy the vehicle.
Yep.
Don't do it after, because that can determine, is this the right vehicle for you, depending on how much your
Right.
insurance is going to be. Same with homeowners. Like every state is different. What's excluded is different. California has a lot of exclusions now because of those mudslides that were happening, things like that. Nebraska, I've heard, has switched some things on roofs. So you want to make sure before buying the home, check with your insurance provider to make sure that everything is covered. Do it
Right.
before,
Yes.
not
Right.
after.
Do.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not when you're sitting in the car dealership too, and
Yeah.
like calling him and saying, "Hey, what's this going to be?" Because that's not.
Yeah, just
not
get
the
a
time.
quote. Yes.
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 They're like, really? You need this right now?
Yes. Exactly.
Also, another great thing that not a lot of people know about homeowners insurance is if I call and I put in a claim because I think, like when the power outage happened and a lot of people lost things, like if you buy a half cow, my
Yes.
parents do,
Yep.
they put it in a freezer. The power was out. What was that, like 2 years ago, for a couple of days, and they lost all that meat.
Oh my God.
Well, they put in a claim, while the insurance minimum for your deductible didn't cover how much meat was lost, but that claim still counts against you. And after so many claims, they could cancel your insurance.
Right.
So be cautious when you put in a claim. Make sure it's an actual claim.
All right.
That's a huge one.
So much information.
I know.
About.
Like my mind is just like,
I know. I
Did you
know.
guys get is there anything that you think our viewers would need more information on? I know we talked through a lot. Hopefully I wasn't just
No,
rambling
it
on.
was
This is
fantastic.
good.
I think what we like to end with is a
Mhm.
penny or two for your thoughts. So, of all the things that you talked about today, what are the things that you really want to leave those listeners with?
I think it's just important to do your due diligence. Anytime you're even signing documents, understand what you're signing, understand what coverage you do have. Don't assume, never assume. Especially, I've seen friends of mine who will ask me, "Hey, can you look over my policy?" And I'm like, "This is crap. The insurance is, I can't believe you went, you got to go somewhere else." Before getting on this podcast, I just wanted a refresher. So I had some friends pull up their homeowners policy and their car insurance. And I was like, "Hey, by the way, you're missing two coverages. You're not fully covered, and you should probably talk to your insurance agent about it." Or they had the minimum liability amounts, which worked out for them because they don't drive very often. They drive to and from work. That's fine.
Yeah.
But to understand, like, hey, if something should happen and you get in an accident and it's over these limits, you could be liable for
Right.
it. There's also another big benefit. It's an umbrella policy. And that sounds just like what it is. It's an umbrella policy that covers all your things, your auto, your home, things like that. You can look into that, because if your liability limits don't cover what the damage is, that umbrella policy will step in and take over. So look into that too.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Yeah, this
Yay.
is so good.
Yes.
Good. Go look at your policies.
Very informative. I know.
Understand what you have.
Chris is going to come home and be
Yes.
like, "What are you doing?
What are you doing?
Why is all of our insurance
Yes.
policies out on the table?"
If you
Did you
haven't-
know?
Yeah. If you haven't looked at it since you got it,
Yeah.
it's probably a good idea
Time to
just
look.
double
Yeah.
check.
Yep.
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, especially as things change.
And don't be afraid of life insurance. Like,
Yeah.
it's not just about the what if.
Right.
You can use it for so much more.
That is one my dad actually had me get when I was in my 20s. He was
Mhm.
like, "You just need it, just
Yeah.
in case something happens, you have it.
Yeah.
Get it now while you're healthy."
Right. Mhm.
Which funny, I'm healthier now than I was.
Yeah.
But that's a whole other topic. That's a podcast for another day.
Yes,
Yes.
that's right.
Yes.
Oh, thank you so much, Danielle, for
Yes.
chatting with us today, giving our listeners some really awesome insights into all things insurance. I'm sure if we get any questions, we'll.
Oh, yeah. Send them my
Send
way.
them
I
your
love
way.
talking about it. Very passionate about it.
And if you're listening to our podcast and have any financial topics you want to learn more about, you can email us at apennyforyourthoughts@centrisfcu.org, and we'll just track down the right expert to come onto the show. And then be sure to subscribe to our podcast if you don't already. You just don't want to miss an episode. And also give us a rate, a review, or share. That helps other listeners find us if they want to. And they do. Yeah.
They do.
As you say confidently.
Globally. We need more international.
Yes,
That was
yes.
fun. And then also follow Centris on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, X, whatever it is today, and LinkedIn, or check out our website at centrisfcu.org, where we have more great financial insights. And if you just want to chat with one of our amazing experts like Danielle, just give us a call at 402-334-7000. We hope you enjoyed this episode and got some good information. Thanks so much for listening.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.